السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وبعد. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. رب زدني علما رب زدني علما ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب. Last time we stopped at the fact that Abdullah just got saved from being slaughtered, and we had 10 camels or 100 camels that were slaughtered instead of Abdullah being slaughtered by Abdul Muttalib. What happens next is Abdullah, instead of Abdullah. So Abdul Muttalib, he slaughtered 100 camels instead of Abdullah. Thanks for the catch. And then what happens is this particular story became such a charming story, such an interesting story for people. Why? Because they had all known about a similar story. Which is a similar story? Story of Ibrahim and Ismail. Very similar, right? You know, the son. Yes, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commands Ibrahim to slaughter Ismail, and it's a similar story. So, you know, a father is slaughtering one of their sons. And this particular story became the talk of the town. So everybody talked about it. Every single person in the house. Whether it is a child, they're all talking about it. The whole Makkah is talking about it like a gossip. It became a gossip story for all of these people. And then, as Abdullah was coming from that incident where he's saved and he's entering Makkah, and people are talking about this particular thing, a woman, she comes to Abdullah and says, I want to talk to you. So Abdullah says, fine. And at that point, Abdullah, the woman says, would you like to marry me? I would like to marry you. I want to marry you. And Abdullah didn't really pay attention to her. He's like, whatever. Just moved on. And then, as you know, life goes on for Abdullah at this time, his father, Abdul Muttalib, he decides that, you know, Abdullah has become of the age where he should be taken and we should find somebody to marry Abdullah off with. So they were looking for this beautiful girl, they were looking for this excellent, you know, very nice looking girl. She must be from a very high status of a family. Why? Because Abdul Muttalib, he was like kind of like the king of Makkah. He was the Sayyid of Quraysh, he was the Sayyid of that wadi, he was the leader of that valley of Makkah. So he looks for people, but I guess he probably didn't find anybody in Makkah. So where did he go then? He went to Medina. He didn't go into Medina. He went to the outskirts of Medina, and in the outskirts there used to be a tribe called Banu Zuhra. Banu Zuhra. Banu Zuhra are people that used to live at the outskirts of Medina, and from there, Abdul Muttalib, he finds one of the most beautiful girl from that tribe in that area, and her name was Amina bint Wahab. And Amina and Abdullah eventually they decide that, you know, they're going to get married, and they end up getting married together. And then what happens? The whole Quraysh and the whole valley of Makkah, they all get, the whole valley of Makkah, they all are involved into the marriage of Abdullah and Amina. Why? Because right now they just saw that Abdullah was about to be slaughtered, and he just got saved. So they were all happy about that particular incident. And then like, oh my God, now Abdullah is even getting married. So it was like happiness upon happiness for that city. And for the tribe of Quraysh, as well as for the people of Makkah. And they wanted to be part of this. And again, it's mentioned that, you know, Abdul Muttalib, he spent a lot of money on the marriage, and he fed a lot of people, a lot of camels were slaughtered. Again, those are narrations that we find in different books about it. At this particular point, you find that the two, after the marriage, the two of them, you know, they're back in Makkah, and Abdullah, he goes to that same girl that eventually, you know, we talked about her. She said, I'd like to marry you. He goes to that girl, and that girl, he goes to her, and the first thing that girl, when she looks at Abdullah, she says, did you get married? And Abdullah said, Kayfa arafta? How did you know? How did you know I got married? And then the girl responds back with something which is the first indication that tells us that Prophet ﷺ, he was going to be the father of Prophet ﷺ. He says, she said, I saw in your face noon. There was some sort of a divine light that existed in your face. But now, that light's gone. I do not see that light in your face. So at that point, Abdullah was like perplexed. He didn't understand. What are you talking about? Light gone? What are you talking about? Maybe you guys are confused too, right? What light? How did it go? Where did it go? It disappeared. And then Abdullah came back home and he meets Amina radiallahu anha, and guess what he finds? Amina says, guess what? We have a baby. We're going to have a first baby. And then another happiness strikes the people of Makkah. Because first Abdullah is saved, now he got married, and now he's going to have his first child. But then you know what? There's something called qadr, right? Something called predestination. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wrote 50,000 years before He created anything exactly what was going to happen. And from the things He wrote was this particular thing. That Abdullah is going to go on a trade, he's going to go on tijara, and then eventually he's going to come back. And when he will come back, on his way back, he's going to fall, he's going to hit his head, and he's going to die. And Abdullah, he died. And at this point, obviously, imagine happiness, 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 and all of a sudden, highest level of sadness. So the whole Makkah, the whole valley of Makkah, they became sad by the death of Abdullah. And you can imagine, he just got saved a few days back, just a month or two maybe back, from the death of his father's trying to slaughter him, and now all of a sudden, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has His own way and he passes away. Amina at this point, she is extremely sad. She was not expecting this. She's a young girl, she just got married, she hasn't even had her first child. But the only thing Amina is left with, the only memory that Amina has of Abdullah is the baby in the belly. So she cherishes that, she takes care of the baby, and eventually we find later on, we know that Amina, she delivers the baby, which ends up becoming who? Who's the baby? Now, at this particular point, the death of Abdullah was taking place, but as if the death was not enough, something strange took place. Which is, people, they all got together, and they heard sounds, and they heard news of a strange creature on its way to Makkah. People had never even seen this creature. They were unable to describe, some of them, they were not able to describe what this creature was. Because they had not seen this creature. Where did it come from? So, at that point you find that all the people, they got together, and whose army was this? Abraha. Not Abraha. Abrahatul Habashi. He was from Ethiopia. And he had crossed over the sea, and he had entered Makkah, and he was going straight to the Kaaba. But why was he going to the Kaaba? What was he going to do with the elephants?
Because he said
louder.
Because he said, I'm the only God, you have to worship me.
No.
And he didn't want anybody to worship the Kaaba. He wanted everybody to come and worship at his temple.
Okay, that's close. What was the temple called? No, okay. The temple was called Qulais. So Abraha had built a very, very big so-called Kaaba. Right? So-called Kaaba. And what was that? No, it's not. So they had built this huge Kaaba. It was called Qulais. And he was expecting that everybody is going to come to this Kaaba and do their, this worship thing, they're doing it around Kaaba. At that time, they were not really worshipping, but everybody was coming to Makkah and to Kaaba. So he wanted all the people to come to his place. But no one was coming there. As a matter of fact, remember there's a story of it where a couple of the Arabs, they went there and they went to his place, and once they arrived there, they're like, you know what, we need to go to the bathroom. Right? So the person, he says he couldn't find anything, right? Like, where do I go to the bathroom? So he basically takes a piece of cloth and then he puts, he goes to do poo-poo, right? He goes to do like number 1 and number 2. And he takes that, thing, and then he takes it and he spins it here. He puts it all over the wall. So he decorates the wall with like poop all over the walls of his Kaaba, of the Kaaba of Abraha. So Abraha, when he comes, he gets so upset. Who did this to my Kaaba? And at that point, you find that Abraha, he gets really upset. And this is one of the trigger points that triggers Abraha to say, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take a huge elephant. His name is Mahmoud. I'm going to take this huge elephant and I'm going to go and destroy the Kaaba so people have no choice but to come to Mecca. So what happens? How did the story take place? What did the elephant do? Did the elephant destroy the Kaaba or did he not destroy the Kaaba? This is what we're going to find out in our next episode, inshallah. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Don't forget to like us and share us on the Digital Mimbar Facebook and Twitter. Please also subscribe to the Digital Mimbar YouTube channel in the links below.